Thank you very much, Nóirín. Nóirín is quite wonderful, as indeed is the whole of this Rite of Passage journey that was being run by all these amazing women. We couldn't actually get the lectern to work, so I went over to get the Bibles over there. And when I went for the Bibles, my script fell between the pews, and we couldn't get it out until Nóirín, who has a thinner arm than me, managed to rescue my script, which we're not allowed to use anyway, because these amazing, fierce women have said no notes, and you've only got precisely 8 minutes. So I shall do my best. We started earlier today, in fact, in the Fumbally Café with a wonderful opening ceremony. We discovered there was a photograph of not just Hedge Schools, but of the crossroad dances that used to happen. And we showed everybody this photograph, and then we did a figure of 8 dance all around the cafe, which weaved in and out in the form of a wonderful spiral. And the spirals keep coming back. They're a kind of an ancient symbol. I'm sure we'll come up with mandalas and maybe snails later. But it was a wonderful kind of opening. Well, there's some people here who could actually put your hand up if you were there this morning. Oh, excellent, because you can witness that not only did we lose the keys of probably the old culture, but the clock evidently stopped. So clearly the magic was beginning very early on this morning and has continued already wonderfully tonight, and hopefully it will for the rest of the event. I'm going to start off a little bit talking about perception and how we get locked and blocked in old patterns. And it's a true story, this. We were working away on a gig, and the house next to us caught fire. And the fire brigade arrived very rapidly. There were 6 firemen, and they went to the wall of the building with a bricked up window with a pneumatic drill and pickaxes, and they started hammering and breaking into it. And literally 4 meters away was a completely open doorway that they could have walked through. But these guys were trained to be demolition experts. And by hook or by pneumatic drill, demolition they would do. Now, they were trapped a little bit. Isn't this a little bit like the holders of those cruise missiles, who sooner or later are bound to use them? And aren't we finding that now Obama is equally trapped in this process and can't get out of it? Or the Queen II of England was obliged culturally to jump out of a helicopter at the Olympics with an outmoded, sexist, Cold War licensed killer called James Bond. Now, I'm sorry, I was brought up on Beatles and I'm supposed to like these heroes, but what I'm talking about is the fact that this is endemic, it's built into our heads, and it is a question of perception, and we have to undo the programming and identify and eradicate the old habits, the cop in the head embedded in the psyche. So rites of passage are journeys of renewal, and we urgently need to find a new track. Here's a quotation from William Golding from his book, The Inheritors. When the spring came, the people, what was left of them, moved back from the old paths from the sea. But this year, strange things were happening, terrifying things that never happened before, inexplicable sounds and smells, new unimaginable creatures, a new race of men and women, though they were never really to know it. The day of the Neanderthals was over. Today we face an equivalent upheaval. Our old world is ending. Last week on the Today programme on England's Radio 4, I heard that allegedly 240, mainly young people, emigrating from Ireland every day. I know Cillian prefers to ride over this negativity from your own video piece. But this means that one person is leaving in every 6 minutes. And as my intervention is about that length, if no one leaves during the next 5 minutes, I will have proof that my crazy notions can stem the tide. Good, we were on 5 minutes now then. But what is crazy? Could it be that our dominant, war-mongering Western culture is the one that is completely bonkers. As Kurt Vonnegut pointed out, we are addicted to preparations for war. Check out the campaign against the arms trade protest that's going on in London at the moment against the obscene arms dealers' fair. If we follow Joseph Campbell's statement that a rite of passage is a way for the individual to die to the past and be reborn to the future, our task is to push the old world into the ditch and imagine a saner, less materialistic society. The Neanderthals failed. Our evolutionary survival depends on us getting it right. I live in a small market town in the south of Cumbria called Ulverston, and 30 years ago it was very depressed. There were something like 44 empty shops, and a group of us got together and started looking at the possibility of cultural revival. And now it's virtually revived, it's very vibrant, and it's reinvented itself as the festivals town. And for over 30 years, this very mixed group of us have created events such as a flag fortnight and comedy interventions. There's a pantomime horse symposium. Lantern parades, though, much copied around the world, are the star. Celebrations have multiplied. The latest, causing constellation and genuine wonder, is not a beer festival, but a breastfeeding jamboree. Rites of passage mark, change, and bring about transition from one state to another. The annual Ulverston Lantern Parade does this. Before the dark days of winter, families gather together on the streets with hundreds of candlelit tissue paper lanterns. It is liminal, bonding, healing, and some say a spiritual experience. But is it crazy? Well, it's certainly playful and joyous, non-commercial, non-competitive, and in aid of absolutely nothing but itself. It is even mildly anarchic, and people take time out of work to make these wonderful lanterns, huge sculptural lanterns and 4 rivers of light flowing through the town with 1,000 participants. Crazy? One March not so long ago, it snowed very heavily, and wondrous snow people emerged on every corner. Not fat men with caddy noses and burnt-out currant eyes, but joyous, wondrous, blossoming visions, frosty with handbags, icicle tiaras, and snowflake jewels. "It's all your fault," said Graham, the ironmonger. "You lot, you welfare state lot, you bloody artists, you gave us permission to be crazy." I wouldn't mind that on my tombstone, if I ever have one. Which brings us back to rites of passage. We are all heading to the predicted global storm of 2030, when food and water run out, population grows, and climate change kicks in. As our financial and religious frameworks also appear to be either collapsing or behaving neurotically, while our immoral media whips up our fear, new rites of passage may help us to pause, to reflect, to mark what is worthwhile, and give us peace of mind. Gennep wrote in 1909, "Rites of passage mark the transition from one situation to another, and from one cosmic or social world order to another, after which there is no going back." Or as Ron Grimes, a Canadian academic, puts it, rites of passage offer a rope bridge of knotted symbols strung across an abyss. Some rites, such as weddings, namings and funerals, dreadful as some of them are, many of them are familiar forms, but with our demographic patterns shifting, there is a vacuum in other areas, such as divorce, retirement, leaving home, ending jobs, and recovering from illness or addiction. We need new ceremonies for new rites of passage, and if we don't anticipate them, they creep up on us anyway. When a culture is out of balance, maverick rituals like joyriding, cyberbullying, riots, and warfare inevitably invade the vacuum. My own rite of passage was my degree show at art college. It was a wild happening. I literally deflated an obese king of fine art. Dressed in a tractor tyre inner tube, a cartoon clown of the old culture was suffocating me, the young artist, and my flock, literally, of live chickens. They were called Benvenuto and Cellini, suffocating them with a dominant culture of indulgence and gross irrelevance. And it was only when the examiners tried to fail me that I comprehended that my crazy but necessary rite of individuation was in fact a true rite of passage. The rites of passage reflect our values and beliefs. They can be informed by religion, but they don't have to be. New situations require new ceremonies. We have to be mindful, though, that the old forms cling on to us like dead corpses with the stranglehold of habit and fear. Last week, my two granddaughters, Rowan 5 and Rosa 10, were happily and innocently playing with a racecourse they had built for two snails called Jatinda, a Sikh princess, and Spiral. I said we'd get back to the spiral, a basic form of genetic imprint in us. A certain multicultural mix held by an ancient thread. Still a little bit competitive, of course. But ingrained habits do take a while to wither away. Yet suddenly, as they do, the 5-year-old topped it all, and looking carefully at Sue Gill, my wife and partner and wondrous working colleague, looked at Sue and she said, Nana, when were you not old? So in this unsettling, old, new time of alleged austerity, we need to build a positive gateway, a threshold to a playful, life-enhancing, shared, participatory culture, a gift relationship. So please don't emigrate or leave just now. Outside the box of mirrors, there is hope. At least stick around for the rest of Trailblazery. It could change your life. And Rosa, my granddaughter, is fantastic at telling jokes, and I'm absolutely awful. I'm going to try. This is courtesy of Rosa, because I think it's the little ones that are going to teach us, and for whom, as grandparents, we're building, I think we're still trying to build a new and better world. Patient. Doctor, I can't stop stealing. Doctor, well, take these pills, and if they're not working after 2 weeks, get me a 42-inch plasma TV. Thank you.